Alright, what's up everybody? It's Rex Pro here, and today we are here for another deck profile. Today we're going to be doing a chain burn deck, but I have a little bit of a twist on it. I'm using an engine nobody's even ever heard of before, probably most likely, unless you play like GOAT format maybe. I don't really know GOAT format, so don't get on me for that. But old time era, classic legacy type stuff. Because this is a tier 2 deck, which is chain burn combined with a no tier engine. Yet surprisingly it works really well, and I've gone 2-0 against a lot of the meta decks, including Pure Zoo. So, without further ado, this is my Volcanic chain burn deck profile. Let's get started. So, for our monster lineup, we're running 3 Volcanic Scattershot. This monster, when it's sent to the graveyard, you get to inflict 500 damage to your opponent, and if it's sent to the graveyard due to the effect of a Blaze Accelerator card, you can send 2 Volcanic Scattershots from your deck to the grave and destroy all monsters your opponent controls. So it's a Raigeki plus 1500 damage. It's pretty crazy for this deck, and I was really surprised no one's ever thought about running this engine. I mean, you could just do 3 of these and then 3 of the Blaze Accelerators, but I've decided to go do a full-on engine split with this deck, so let's move on. Next, we have 2 Volcanic counters, which sounds more like it should be a trap, but it isn't. It is instead a monster. When you take battle damage while this card is in your graveyard, banish it from your graveyard, and if there's another fire monster other than this card in your graveyard, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the amount of damage you took. This card is crazy good. Now some people might ask, oh, why don't you just play Dimensional Wall? Well, I do. It's in my side deck. But the reason why I don't play Dimensional Wall is because of the fact that Blaze Accelerator combined with this card, or some of the other, like Blaze Accelerator is almost an archetype in its own, but they're continuous spells and 1 continuous trap. They end up allowing you to destroy your opponent's monster and either burn them or not, and then one of them allows you to draw a card based off of sending a Volcanic monster to the grave. So you're getting to send this to the grave and either draw a card or burn your opponent for 500, as well as destroying one of their monsters. Plus the fact that now that it's in your grave, it's basically a Dimensional Wall, except you take the battle damage as well. And I really like that. That's why I run 2 of it. If it comes to a case where I'm going against a really fast deck, I will play Dimensional Wall just in case. Then we run 1 Volcanic Rocket. This is actually a card that you could probably run it too, because it's actually really good. It's a level 4, 1900 attack point monster, and when it's summoned, you can add 1 Blaze Accelerator card from your deck to your hand. So it searches out any of your Blaze Accelerator cards, which is crazy good once you see how good the Blaze Accelerators can actually be. So yeah, if you want to run 2 of these, you could take out 1 of the traps, or maybe less of one of the other Volcanic, like 1 less Volcanic counter, or 1 less Absolute King Backjack, which happens to be our next card. This is honestly a staple for chain burn. It's super good. Kind of works like a Pot of Duality, almost. Anyways, so during your opponent's turn, you can banish this card from your graveyard to activate the top card of your deck. If it's a trap card, you can set it on your field, and it can be activated the turn it's set. That's not, I mean, that's pretty good, but its second effect, which I feel like they should have placed first. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, and you can place them back in any order you want. So if there's a trap in there, you can place it on top and then banish King Backjack from your graveyard to set it and activate it, which is really cool. That's why you run 3 of. I actually don't run that many traps, considering it's a chain burn deck. Like, usually traps will be filled up to about here, and then spells to maybe here, and then like 6 monsters at most. So I run a pretty weird deck, but it works very well. I run 2, only 2, Card of Demise. Classic Card of Demise. Add cards to your hand until you have 3 in total, and during the end phase, destroy all or send all cards from your hand to the graveyard. Plus, you can't special summon the turn you activate this, or you can't special summon for the rest of the turn you activate this card. Really good. Nothing else to really say about it. Then we went 3 Pot of Duality. Dig 3 deep into your deck to add one of those cards to your hand. It's really awesome. So our first Blaze Accelerator card, Tri-Blaze Accelerator. This is personally, in my opinion, I think it's the best one. Either this or the Trap, but I mean, I think this one's better. That's why I run 2 of this instead of the Trap. But Tri-Blaze Accelerator, you activate this by sending a face-up Blaze Accelerator from your side of the field to the graveyard. So its activation cost is really inconsistent, but it works more often than you think it would. And then you can send 1 Power-type monster from your hand to the graveyard to destroy 1 monster your opponent controls. Doesn't target, and then inflict 500 damage to your opponent. So it doesn't even target. Non-target removal. It's pretty cool. It does destroy though, so that's kind of a problem. But it doesn't target, so cards that say specifically that they can't be targeted, go ahead. Try Blaze Accelerator, don't care. And then next we run Blaze Accelerator, 3 of, just so that it helps the consistency of Tri-Blaze Accelerator. You can target 1 monster your opponent controls and send 1 Power-type monster with 500 attack or less from your hand to the graveyard, and then if you do, destroy that monster. Also, I think all of these, all of the Blaze Accelerators have the you can't attack the turn you activate this effect, which actually inspired me to make this deck because, hey, when are you ever going to be attacking? The answer is never. I mean, pretty much never. Like, you might once with this card, because I have actually attacked with Volcanic Rocket before. But, anyways, we run 3 of that. I really like the combo of using this to send this to the grave, and then boom, 1500 plus Raigeki. It's awesome. Or this, and then you get 2000 plus a Raigeki, which is crazy good. Chain Strike, it's Chain Burn, obviously. You gotta run this. Activate as a Chain Link 2 or higher and inflict damage to your opponent equal to this chain number times 400. Dark Remove Nightmare, 3 of, because it's not gonna hurt you if you have 3 Dark Remove Nightmare. It just means that you can set less, but you're gonna end up activating Dark Remove Nightmare so much that it won't matter. Every time you inflict damage to your opponent due to an effect, inflict 300 more damage to your opponent. It's crazy. That's crazy good. You can get crazy chains on this card. It's awesome. Burning Land. This is actually a card I don't think I've seen many Chain Burn decks run, which is surprising to me, because it destroys their field spell when it's activated, and during each player's standby phase, the turn player takes 500 damage. Combined with a couple Dark Remove Nightmare, you're looking at some good damage there on your opponent's turn. And I have done that actually. I had a turn where I had 2 Burning Land and 2 Dark Remove Nightmare on my opponent's turn. So they ended up taking, what was it? 1200 plus 1000. So they took 2200 damage, I do believe. If my math is correct, Mungo. Which it should be. Yeah, they took 2200 damage, which was crazy. Of course, they're going to use Twin Twisters afterwards. That's the only problem, is they can Twin Twister this. So if they draw a Twin Twister, they can actually negate this. Because that's how chains work now. Which is stupid, but whatever. Whatever, don't even matter. For our trap lineup, we run 2 Geometrio because it is just too good. Special summon to your opponent's side of the field 3 Ojama tokens, and when they're sent to, or when they're destroyed, the controller takes 300 points of damage. So you can use this, then activate one of your Blaze Accelerators, pop this, and then you'll end up destroying all of their monsters. So that's 900 damage plus 1500 plus 500, so that's 2900 damage. Plus, if you have a Dark Remove Nightmare on board, you're dealing a lot of damage from that, because that's 300 for each Ojama token, so that'll be another 900. Plus, oh wow, I'm pretty sure that'd be game, honestly. Like, that'd be game. It's crazy. I haven't gotten anything that crazy, just because I usually win before that, but anyways, next up we run 2 Just Desserts because Just Desserts, it's awesome. Deal 500 damage to your opponent for each monster they control, activate Ojama Trio, activate this, go off on combos, it's crazy. We run 3 Secret Blasts because if your opponent happens to activate Twin Twisters during your end phase, you still get the benefit of dealing 1000 damage. Otherwise, if they don't, inflict 300 damage to your opponent for each card that they control. This is really good for swarm-based decks or True Dracos where they set a lot. Even against other chain burn decks, like, it's awesome. 3 Secret Barrels, 200 for each card they control and in their hand. It's really good. I wish it had an effect like this where if it's destroyed, you get to deal damage. 3 Blazing Mirror Force because it's awesome for this deck, getting to really plus off of, not plus, but deal a lot of damage. Now you end up dealing damage to yourself, but you deal damage to your opponent as well, so it's awesome. Plus he'll be destroying their monsters, so this is a really good card to run in the deck. I've seen some people run 2, but personally I just prefer 3 because consistency, and there's nothing wrong with drawing into a couple of these. And then last but not least, our last Blaze Accelerator. This is the best one, in my opinion. Well, not the best one. I said Tri-Blaze Accelerators, but this is a close second. Like I said, it was really hard to decide which one I wanted to run 2 of. Ultimately, I decided this one. It counts as Tri-Blaze Accelerator while on field, but that's not going to matter for this deck profile because we're not using the full Volcanic engine, or the full Volcanic deck, rather. During either player's main phase, you can send 1 Volcanic card from your hand to the graveyard, and if you do, draw 1 card. This becomes really good when you start siding in cards, like Battle Fader or Ghost Ogre, or Max C even. If you don't have one of those in hand, you can just activate this during your opponent's turn and try and get that in hand. Otherwise, if it's in your grave during either player's main phase, you can banish it and send 1 Volcanic card from your deck to the graveyard, which can set off your Scatter Shot. Or even you can send Volcanic Counter to the grave. I do that sometimes if I already have all 3 of my Scatter Shots in grave, just so that they basically have a Blazing Mirror Force on board. So yeah, off to the side deck. Mind you, this is completely personal preference. If you want to run other things in your side deck, go for it, because this side deck really isn't targeted too much for the meta. It's very broad for what it can be. But anyways, let's go in. 3 Battle Faders, just because if you go into a deck that's really aggressive like Mermails, yeah, I know that's a weird example considering that deck isn't meta even in the slightest. It's just one of the decks that I have problems testing against, so I decided to side 3 of these just because they can special summon during their own battle phase after you've activated all of your burning traps. So you can special summon it, get a little more protection. Double Lava Golem. I know a lot of chain burn players main deck this. I personally don't, because of the fact that you're gonna end up tributing their monsters, so you're going from them having 2 on board to 1 on board, which is bad for these 2 cards. I mean, technically you could chain this and this before, you know, you go ahead and try and summon this, but I'd rather not. However, if I'm dealing with a deck that has a lot of protection, I will side in Lava Golem. Ghost Ogre, because it'll stop your opponent's plays if you're once again dealing with a really aggressive deck. Max C if you're going against Zoos or World Chalice, just so you can get a lot of draws off of their cards. 2 Forbidden Chalice against Trickstars. This is a really good card against Mermail, same thing. Really almost any deck, it's just phenomenal against. 2-Dimensional Barrier. I only run 2 of this just because sometimes you want your opponent to pop off. Once again, this is just in case you go against a deck that's really aggressive. Dimensional Wall, like I said, I'll side out my counters for if I'm going against a more aggressive deck. And finally, Just Desserts, because swarming is a thing. World Chalice, if I ever go against a World Chalice monster, I'm definitely going to side out one of my secret barrels for just desserts, because they don't set much and they usually don't have a lot in hand, but they will have almost their entire monster board filled up. So you're going to be dealing a potential of 3,500 damage because they can extra link like no tomorrow. So it's crazy. But yeah, that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is a really fun deck to play. Your friends will hate you, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. It's just Yu-Gi-Oh! All that matters is that you're having fun with the deck. And if you did enjoy, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you next time. And as always, have a roaring good